Hey guys, welcome back to today's vlog. If you haven't already checked out the previous video with the G35, make sure you go and check that out. We recently picked up some wheels for it. We have a full video of us installing them and etc. So go check that video out. It'll be the most recent one before this one. Today's actually going to be really exciting too, because the moment that I've been waiting for a long time for this LS Swap 350Z. This is the harness. It's about time this thing came in. Everything was back ordered, like I was explaining in my previous videos, on these modules and stuff like that to make all this work. November till April is when it took for that. The harness was built most of the time of that waiting period. Their turnaround time's pretty good, although they are very busy right now. But the only thing that I was really waiting on was that CAN bus module to make everything work with the factory Nissan gauges. Like, I made sure that I went with the CAN bus Pro harness for this system so that all my factory gauges and everything will work. And they claim that that harness is full plug and play. Everything plugs and play. You don't have to splice anything in. The quality of this harness looks really, really good. They even thought about, this goes where the firewall is, so this actually clips in. And then this, like, it just keeps it really, really clean. They do a really good job. They actually label everything. That's coil number 1. These are your injectors, so they label all that. That's injector number 2 for cylinder number 2. Here's the map sensor. So they label everything, and they put this nice coating over top of it here, like to keep it shielded. And yeah, I can't say enough about this harness. So basically today is going to be mostly time lapse of me trying to run everything. It's going to take some time for me to figure out exactly where all the connectors go and everything, to try and route it the best possible so it's not rubbing through exhaust or, you know, rubbing on the headers or whatever. So that's going to take me some time, but other than that, this thing is the only thing that was needed to fire this thing up. So hopefully that once this is all done, I get my ECU back and then I can fire this up. I don't have the exhaust done yet on it, but I should still be able to fire it up if I leave the O2s disconnected, because then that will make the PCM run an open loop. So it'll kind of keep the fuel trims at a steady, I believe that's how it works. So if I plug them in without exhaust, it's going to be picking up the air from outside, and it's going to be overfueling because it's not picking up any exhaust fumes or anything to correct fuel. So I'm going to leave them unplugged, and I'm going to double check that that's the case with that. But the exhaust shouldn't be too much further after this. But other than that, guys, we're going to get started. We're going to put the harness in, and then let's try and route everything. If all goes well, it should be okay, and we should have this thing running in no time. I kind of routed everything into the cabin first, as you can see here. I have everything laid out right here. This is the whole squid thing here. I know it's a lot going on, but believe it or not, guys, this is actually simplified. For an engine like this, it's very simple. For things like this that I work on every single day, the harnesses are like double this size here, and they're just nightmares to work with. So anyway, so I'm feeding everything in through here. Everything should fall through, and then this OEM grommet should clip in, and then these two plugs here go into down here, and they power up and they get power off those two plugs there, and then I should be able to tie it in everything nicely. I'm gonna let everything hang down here and in the interior, and then pull everything through and then clip it in, and then I'll start with the outside here. Another thing that's super nice about these guys is that they literally think about everything. So this is actually called a dummy plug, and it will cap off one of the, I selected for no AC option on this harness. So they sent out a cap. Essentially, if you look in there, it's just got rubber grommets in it, and it actually caps off the AC plug down here, so no water or anything gets in there. As you can see, everything's the right length. It all plugs right into there. There's two plugs that come right out from underneath here, and then there's a full harness that comes out. And then, yeah, that grommet there sits perfectly where the OEM Nissan harness came through. It's the little things like this that make a huge difference, quality versus not, because you can just snap this in just like this, just like that. And now it's protected from the elements and water and everything getting in there. So if you do decide to do AC further on, then you can easily pop that connector out and then bridge your stuff that way. So far, very straightforward. Everything's dropped in here. All of it's dropped in down here, and everything's so far the right length. I can start to delete the old harness here and pull that out and start hooking up the new stuff. I'll pull the old PCM out, and then I'll make a bracket so the new E38 ECU can mount right up nice and factory there and bolt in. So far everything's lining up good. I fed the harness through that way instead of feeding all these connectors through and up, because it would be a nightmare trying to feed all these wires through just the one hole there. You'd be fishing up underneath the dash, and it'd just be a pain in the ass. So I'm going to continue with this harness install. We're going to start laying out some connectors, kind of where everything goes, and then stick along for the ride. Alright guys, so we're actually continuing this video the next day. It got a little too late the night before there. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how far I've gotten here. I've ran all the injector and coil pack wires here. I've ran the map sensor, the throttle position sensor, or sorry, the throttle body connector, and then underneath here and wrapped around, that goes to the cam position sensor, and then the crank runs around to the back as well. This is a coolant temp sensor here, and then there's a connector right there for the alternator. So everything's pretty well ran. All the connectors are plugged in. I just have to tie everything up nicely. I have a few grounds here, so I just have to attach these 3 grounds to a spot. I might try and connect them all together and run to one ground in behind here so you don't see it, because I thought about putting it on the firewall like that, but that doesn't look very good at all with the bolt there. I want to try and keep it as clean as possible, like with that there, instead of having these grounds, you know, showing and everything. So I'm going to extend those wires, ground everything in underneath here because it'll be covered anyways. Utilize the stock harness holder here. As you can see, it clips together and it's holding the new harness. So, and then plugged in my connectors down here. So far everything's lining up perfectly. That's sitting there nicely. So I'm going to continue with running some of these wires here with some more time lapse, and then maybe we'll be able to get this thing fired up today. Like I said, I don't have the exhaust on it, so we're gonna just see if everything, you know, key on and everything turns on with the PCM hooked up and all that stuff. So now I'm going to crawl over to the other side here, basically break my back in here and try and tidy up all this wiring here, and then after that's all tied up, should be able to get power and everything else. Everything's all hooked up, so we'll cross our fingers and make sure everything works the way it is, and we'll catch you guys after this time lapse. So I have everything kind of set up here. I'm not going to tuck everything in yet just because I don't know. Just want to make sure everything's okay. So here's all my connections here. This is the wiring specialties box, that CAN bus module box that connects with all of 350Z's dash and everything. This is actually a light. It's a malfunction indicator light. So when this lights up, it means that you got a check engine light on or something like that. This is the OBD2 port. Now, instead of it being on this side of the car, I might actually end up extending this to put it in the OEM spot over there, or I might end up just mounting it under the dash over on this side. This is the E38 ECU. This is a Corvette ECU here, or a Camaro, they're the same thing. So that plugs into the harness there, and then all your connectors feed right up and then up into the dash through the firewall there, and then up and through. So everything's basically connected there. All I have to do is hook up the battery and see if I have power. Finished everything up here. I have hooked the positive terminal up here, and everything should have power now. I don't see any smoke yet coming out of anywhere, so that's a good sign. I'm extremely nervous to even start this thing up at all. I don't know what to expect. It's been a long time with this project here. And yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know what to do other than just set the camera up and watch what happens, I guess. First thing I'm actually gonna do is just make sure I do have power. Yeah, looks like I do have that. Yeah, okay. When it does a sweep like that, that's how you know that everything's working. So that's good. So that's good. The fans are on. So that means we're getting power to our fans. These are running. Perfect. So that's a good sign that the fans are all hooked up and everything. All right, let's just try this out here. All right, guys, here goes nothing. You guys don't know how excited I am. I'm shaking right now. Like, look at my hand. That's awesome. That's fired up, no problem, first try. That makes me very, very happy. I'm super, super excited to get everything wrapped up with this now, the exhaust and everything. Obviously it was super loud with the open header, but that's good. She fired right up, no problem, no hiccups. That's a win in my book, definitely. That tells me that everything's hooked up properly. That's perfect, that's good. Now I'm just gonna work out a few little things here and there with it. So now that I know that everything runs, I'm gonna tidy up all that wiring underneath the dash here as well, and up in the engine compartment as well. It seems to run pretty good. It's hard to tell how it's running with open header like that, but I only wanted to start it for a second just to see if I actually, you know, everything works, but obviously, clearly it does. So as of for now, guys, we're gonna close the video out here. I'm gonna tidy up this wiring here. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be doing, the next video should be the exhaust. It's gonna be in the next like maybe 2 weeks or so. Get the exhaust done. We're doing a full custom 3-inch exhaust all the way back. I was actually able to retain the factory, or not the factory, but the Motordyne 3-inch here, because this is true 3-inch up until the midsection, and then I have to make a custom section from the headers back. So I'll do a custom X pipe in there too, so it'll sound real good with an X pipe. These engines always sound really good with that. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. I'm gonna be too excited, but stay tuned for the next video. Subscribe, comment, and I'll talk to you in the next one.